All right, welcome to Y Space on a random Friday in the middle of April.
Hey guys,
Um,
the big
so if
Friday.
so if you're a Swiftie, it's not a random Friday. It's a big Friday. It's a Friday we've been waiting for a couple months.
Yeah.
Um, so last night at 11 Central, where we live, 12 New York time, Tortured Poets dropped. I stayed up. I did
I did
not tune at it. You can count on Becca to go to bed. I did not tune into the iHeartRadio thing. I got the app and I could not figure out like how to hear it, but now I've heard that maybe she didn't even really talk a lot. So anyway,
okay.
I kind of fluctuated between Spotify and Apple Music. Apple Music was down until probably like 30 to 40 minutes in. So I was like almost done with the first set of
Yeah.
songs. And so then obviously a countdown had appeared on Taylor's Instagram saying something's happening at 2 a.m. New York time. I was like, of course it is. Of course it is. So by the time I got done, I only had about 45 minutes. So I just did some studying of the lyrics, and all of a sudden, the second album drops. I knew Becca was dead asleep. I knew she'd been asleep for hours. And I was like, I have to tell her. I just have to tell her.
And I appreciated that.
So I
It did
texted, I was like,
I could see it when I got up.
I know you're asleep, but it's a double album. And so Becca's first question to me this morning was, is it variant? I'm like, no. We have a whole other album. The whole thing
I
happened.
know when you said double album, I was like Googling stuff and I was like, everything says Tourtured Poets Department. What is she talking about? And then I realized, oh, it's the anthology.
The anthology. So here's what we're gonna do. We want to give kind of a blanket precursor. Obviously, on the show, we talk a lot about how we don't like to be speculative. And we don't. Um, Today's episode may seem a little speculative. So what we always say is that we only want to go off of what the people themselves have said or put out. In this case, we feel like this is what Taylor has put out, obviously. And so we are going to, I don't call it speculating. We're just going to give our opinion of like who we think the song might be about or the topic or something like that. We're not going to delve into what happened with them. We could be totally wrong. I think one of the things I learned listening to this album is I think I was wrong on some other albums about who some songs were. So that's interesting. But also like we're just going to kind of give our opinions and then also like some of the things we liked and didn't like. So I'll kick us off with like my just broad overview opinion so far.
Okay.
We also asterisk want to reserve the right to hear it more and change our opinions. So here's the thing. For me, it was like not at all. I don't know what I was expecting. There were so many rumors on the internet. I kind of had like fallen into the camp of thinking it was going to be a rock album.
Okay.
Also, by the way, if you haven't listened and you don't like spoilers, this is not the episode for you. So it is not a rock album. I would define this as like indie. This is very Lana Del Rey. If you don't like Lana Del Rey, you are not going to like this album. Also, if you are a 1989 Swiftie and that's like your go-to album, like you're obsessed with it, it's like your everything, it's what made you like Taylor, you're not going to like this album. It's just not. This to me is like Folklore and Evermore had a baby with Midnights, and then that baby married Lana Del Rey. That's kind of what just happened.
Oddly accurate.
And I just came up with that on the fly. Please remember that so I can put it in our socials. That's to me what it was. Overall, the first album, the first part, the first 16 songs, I was like, what is happening? I got to the end and there was a couple that I loved, and then there was some that I was like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
And then the second part dropped, and I do think I liked more of the second part, but my favorite song is still in the first half. I think this is a great representation of working with Aaron Dessner and working with Antonoff. It's completely different. I just saw Jamie B. Golden posted on her Twitter, and she was like, and I think a lot of people are going to feel this way. She was like, I just know now that I need more Aaron Dessner and less Jack Antonoff. I'm not like that. It doesn't bother me, but I did see the trending of like the super sad songs that I think were about Joe were Aaron. And then the ones where she's like kind of pissed off and a little bit dirty, are definitely Jack. And that just makes sense to me.
Yeah.
That's
I
my
agree.
initial thoughts. Becca, do you want to give your initial thoughts before we get into the
Sure.
song?
So my initial thoughts after cramming for this final was not a fun hang. This
No,
album was
no.
not a fun hang. It almost felt like, because this is not your typical radio anthem Taylor Swift album.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't one you're putting on repeat to listen to the songs over and over. It kind of felt like you were out to drinks with that friend that you haven't seen in forever, and they're just going over the hell that they've lived through that you had no idea they were going through. And
Yep.
that's kind of like what I kept getting with every single song was, man, this sounds like a miserable existence that you were living through.
Yeah.
And now you've written it all out. It's out of your system and we can move on.
Yeah.
But it was just very vulnerable, felt like a lot of raw emotion in it, very simplistic, I thought, in like the melodies and the music behind it.
But big
But
words. Like there were big words throughout the whole thing. And I was like, there's a couple of words that I don't even know how to pronounce, even though I know the word. So
yeah,
it was
I just, at the end of it, I was like, this is not an album you're going to hear on the radio all the time.
nope.
But you also can't deny that lyrically, this album is
Oh.
incredible.
And so that is I'm going to make this note before we hop into the songs because there are 31 we have to cover. We have talked on the show previously about album of the year. I'm going to go ahead and call it. This is not going to win album of the year because for the same reasons Lana Del Rey has never won and has deserved it many times.
Yeah.
Lana should have won that award more times than our girl Beyonce. I can tell you without even flinching.
Yeah.
She's never going to win it. And
I don't even think this would get nominated.
I think if it does, it's simply based on her popularity. Now, that doesn't mean to me, I would still pick it over Cowboy Carter today, but
okay,
that's just like my thing. But yeah, this is not going to be the fun bop on the radio. This was very much, I totally agree. This is your friend that has gone to hell and back and you're hearing about it. Or it's like reading a therapist's notes from their sessions. And I kept thinking of that. And I think because the imagery is very like psych ward, the music video comes out tonight. We'll talk about that on Tuesday's episode or whenever. I don't even know when that's happening now.
We don't know days anymore.
But that aesthetic is very psych ward. It's very much about her kind of feeling like she lost her mind and going kind of insane and manic and all of that. And I think it's funny because I always think about her saying she's never been to a therapist because she thinks she's very sane. And I think it's because she has this. Like she has this way of doing what the rest of us have to go to therapy for. But okay, we're going to kick off. And so in trying to keep with our why space theory, we're going to try to ask some why questions. And these are why questions maybe we ask of each other, but also like Taylor, if you want to come on the show, these are some why questions we would send you ahead of time to prep. It's just some I was just wondering why. And it's hard sometimes because I really wanted to ask like how or what, but I went with why to keep on brand. So we're going to start with the lead single, which is Fortnight, featuring Post Malone. And this was a Jack Antonoff. And I'm going to point that out on some of these because I think it totally plays into how everything went. So for me, I'll start us. I have had more time to write my notes than Becca, by the way. So.
Yeah, we're just...
Yeah. I was like, we need to record today. So the Fortnight song, I believe, is about Matty Healy. If you're not familiar with Matty Healy, he is the lead singer of the 1975 band. He has been friends with Taylor and a lot of people in that circle. Jack has worked with 1975. A lot of people have since about 2014. So we're talking about 10 years-ish. If you're not familiar, last year when the announcement of Joe and Taylor breaking up happened, pretty soon after she was seen with Matty Healy, and he was at all of her Nashville shows and all of her Philadelphia shows. And then as fast as we saw him, he was gone. That's really what we knew. I think this album tells us a lot about what we didn't know. And there are very clear references, and this is where I say we're not being as speculative as it may seem. There's very clear references in these songs when it's talking about Matty and describing him and his some of his habits and his appearance, and then vice versa with Joe, and then our boy Travis too. So that's how we feel like we're not being speculative. But I do think this song is about Matty.
Yeah.
I think that because their relationship, at least as we knew it publicly, did not last very long, at least this
Mhm.
time. I did think it was interesting. It ties to the song Florida, which we'll get into later, which is a confusing one. But Florida was the first show she did after the Joe breakup. So I don't know if all that's intertwined. For me, I love Post Malone. I
Mhm.
thought his voice sounded so beautiful with hers.
Yes, I was surprised by that.
And she let him do the bridge. Like,
Mhm.
Queen of Bridge let somebody else in. I was like, whoa. Uh, I can't wait for the music video tonight. But my favorite lyric, it's right at the very beginning. I was supposed to be sent away, but they forgot to come and get me. I was a functioning alcoholic. Part of it me was just like I thought it was funny. But also I think there's just always been so much like chatter about like when she is out, and she's even joked about like drunk Taylor and all that. And so
Mhm.
I think one of the big themes in this album too is kind of like the level of fame and the criticism that comes with that. Fortnight is obviously a British term that means 2 weeks or 14 days. One quick note I was going to point out, and I don't know if you've noticed this. So the teasers for the music video that comes out tonight, the music video is Fortnite. The music in the teasers is from Florida.
Mhm.
It's not from Fortnite.
Oh, I didn't notice.
Yeah. So I
Interesting.
heard it and thought I'm like crazy. But then I saw a ton of people started talking about it online. I was like, "Oh, crazy." And the fact that it mentions Florida moved to Florida. So something is there.
Yeah,
I don't know.
because in the
Um,
video clip, it has Post in there. So we know the video is not like a mashup or something.
right, but what I'm kind of wondering is it an Easter egg? Of course.
Oh god,
That
there's
might
too
be the
many.
other there's rumors that there's 2 music videos, so I wonder if the second one is Florida and she made music videos with both the, like, like, so with Florence and the Machine.
Yeah.
I don't
Maybe
know.
like a double album drop, she'll do a double video drop.
My god, it's too much. I don't know. I am like yeah, it's too much. So those are
Yeah.
my thoughts on Fortnite. Any my why question, forgot that part. So, I guess what I wanna know, if Taylor was here with us today and not just in the background of our picture here, like, why was she supposed to be sent away? I'm sure that's just, like, imagery, and it's just alluding to something, but, like, what was it? Because at that point, like, the Eras Tour had only been going, like, a little less than 2 months, so it's not like everyone was on Taylor overload as some might be today. So, I guess I
Yeah.
just wanna know, like, what was it?
Yeah.
So, that's my thoughts. What about you?
I think so. For me, this one was not a catchy song, which for a single, you always think it's going to be a little catchy somewhere, but none of these songs really were. So I guess that kind of made sense. My why, because I also felt like it was referencing Maddie, was because there was so much history there. Why did it? Why did the song sound like we were just there for a fortnight? So we were just there for a short period of time.
Mhm.
Was it saying like then we became neighbors, like you had moved on with your life because your wife is watering flowers?
Mhm.
So why I don't know. I don't know. This one confused me.
I have always seen in more in interviews that, like, previously she never had a say in what the singles were, and so she always had other songs she wanted as the single. I think now she does have control,
Mhm.
but I did wonder on this one, and I wonder, like, what the and she's very meticulous with her wording, obviously, and in the post, she has said, like, "This is the first single." So it makes me think there's more, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
So the second song is this album title, The Tortured Poets Department. This is another Jack song. Again, I'm like 100% sure I'll go ahead and go on a limb and say this one is about Maddie. It talks about smoking, which if you watch any of the 1975, he like smokes like a freight train. Talks about tattoos, he's covered in them, and it also mentions Lucy, which I believe is a reference to Lucy Dacus from Boy Genius, and she and Jack attended one of Taylor's shows together, and, they used to work together, so I'm, like, pretty sure it's about him.
Yeah.
Um, Also, there were pictures when everything was happening with Maddie and Taylor of him walking into her apartment with a Louis Vuitton bag that obviously had something very heavy in it. Now we know it was a typewriter. because that's what you carry around. Um, so I definitely think though that this song gives more insight into like their bond and like how well I think a lot of people were like, what the heck is going on last year? And they didn't know that they had been connected for like 10 years.
Right. I had no idea.
Right. Um, I also think that this song points out it's like the beginning of her trying to say, like, all the things y'all don't like about him don't turn me off. Um, I do think there was a couple of Easter eggs here in the Eras tour during the song Delicate, which I do believe is about Joe, but nowadays I'm questioning everything. Um, she says something in that song like, "Did the girls back home touch you like I do?" And then she mouths, "Not a chance," or something usually like
Mhm.
that. Very much happens in this one too, because it's like, "Who's gonna touch you like I do? No bad word, anyone," kind of
Yeah.
thing. Also, this album, don't listen to it with your kids. I don't
Nope.
even know how she would put out a clean version. Like, I told Judd today, he woke up and was like, "Is the album out?" I was like, "You can't hear it. Go
I
ahead."
don't think they would enjoy it anyway.
No. But my favorite lyric was, "But you're in self-sabotage mode, throwing spikes down on the road, but I've seen this episode and still love the show. Who else decodes you?" And I think this is just like she's known him long enough. She's been through like he's self-admitted like very moody. Like she's
Mhm.
seen all this, but apparently she has, some kind of something where she can crack that code with him. So that
Yeah.
was my thoughts. It's very rare. I looked this up. I think it's 4, maybe it's less than that actually. It's very rare for her to have a song of the album title, like, have the song lyric title. God, I can't even talk. The song title be the same as the album title.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
your thoughts?
I thought this one, nothing specific to note on it. It kind of gave the vibes of someone just like pleading their case almost, I felt. Um, but my why that I kept going back to is why are you holding on to what is not good for you for so long?
Yes. I forgot my why, but that was the same exact thing. I also like, in the song, she says, "Everyone who knows us knows it was meant to be." Why? Like, what is it about them that, like, because I don't see her as brooding and moody the way he comes across, but
Right.
maybe she I don't know.
Yeah. It just felt like there's constantly a running theme of like a need for closure. And
Yeah.
I constantly was, why? Why are you constantly needing closure? Like, why are you not just getting at the listen, when they show you who they are, that's your closure.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I kept going back to on that one.
The third song is called "My Boy Only Breaks His Favorite Toys." I don't know what I thought this song was gonna be like, but it was not this. This is one of the few that she wrote by herself. Again, pretty I think this one's about Maddie, because she says things like playing pretend better than all the kin stole her tortured heart. And so I think that references like Joe could be considered looking like a Ken doll where Maddie definitely wouldn't. But then also stealing her tortured heart, meaning like post Joe breakup. That's kind of why
Mhm.
I went that way. Um, my favorite lyric, "Oh, here we go again. The voices in his head called the rain to end our days of wild." I just thought that like painted the picture of kind of like it was again a fortnight, it was
Yeah.
quick,
Yeah.
but it wasn't fake. It was just quick. Again, she says in this one, there were a litany of reasons why you could have played for keeps. I would like to know why, like, what were those whys? What was that litany of reasons?
Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
thought?
This one, it kind of felt like, what'd she say? Because I knew too much. There was danger in the heat of my touch. He saw
Mhm,
forever, so he smashed it up.
mhm.
This one, I kept thinking it was more of like you're telling yourself a story in your head of what this could be, but the reality of it is very different. Because at the
Yeah,
end of the day, still broken every time.
yeah, and the whole part about, like, smashing it up, I think too, in this album, and there's some people that have pointed this out I've seen already on social, that it could be conceived or perceived that she's kind of coming for her fans in some of these lyrics, and I think she is, honestly, with some fans. I don't think it's like the general population.
Mhm.
Um, but I do think she's, like, kind of pointing out that, like, we don't know who's and what's best for her, and so I do think the overwhelming theme in the whole Maddie story arc in these songs is essentially he ended things very abruptly and maybe like kind of just left sort of situation because he was trying to protect her and knew that it could really damage her career.
Mhm.
And so I think when I hear things like that and I see that, it always makes me wonder, does that mean it's really over then? Like, I
Yeah.
don't which I don't wanna think, but here I am. So the next one is called Down Bad. A lot of people thought that this was about Travis because,
Mhm.
I think because, like, down bad, like, I've got it bad for somebody, and people were, like, already saying that on social without ever hearing it. Um, Wait a minute, did I, like, just get lost?
I don't think so. You're right, number 4.
Oh, I just have the notes in the wrong spot. One of the notes. Again, I think this one is about Maddie. My favorite lyric was, "I'll build you a fort on some planet where they can all understand it. How dare you think it's romantic leaving me safe and stranded? Because F it, I was in love." This is where I think we start getting the story of he left her trying to do
Mhm.
the right thing for her, and she was pissed because she was in love with him.
Yeah.
And the whole where they can all understand it, I think is about everyone that was, like, judging it. My question would really just be, why was the breakup something she mentions, like, she would never get up from it or get out of the
Mhm.
bed. Like, why? Or is that her response to every breakup? Or was it, like, what was so detrimental about this one that it, like, ended her in a sense?
Yeah. The vibe I got from this song was like something that had been written immediately when the breakup happened. As
Yeah.
soon as he's out the door, I'm sitting down and journaling. I felt
Mhm.
like it was very raw in that matter to where your brain immediately just goes to, well, this is it. This is the end. If this one didn't work out, nothing
Mm.
ever will. And so I think that's why we got the I might not just get up, I might stay. F it if I can't have us.
Mhm.
It's just kind of that raw emotion when you haven't really processed the whole thing to realize, like, it'll be
Yeah.
fine. We'll be
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
But this one just felt like I wondered if this was one of the first ones that she wrote.
Yeah. This was, again, a Jack song. Number 5 is our first Aaron Dessner on the album, which, of course, it's track 5, always the sad ones. This one again, I don't know what I thought. I think that's where I'm struggling today is I don't know what I thought I was gonna get, and then when I did get, I'm like, I don't know what to do with it. I do believe this song is about Joe. Both Maddie and Joe are both from London, so I don't think just because it's London, it has to be about Joe.
Yeah.
It could be about Maddie, but I do think this is about Joe. Um, I think that this song ties to "You're Losing Me." And I now am kind of thinking that "You're Losing Me" was always supposed to be on this album, but it was her way of kind of segueing to, like, yeah, I'm super happy now, but I have this album that's gonna tell you about when I wasn't happy. And so she dropped "You're Losing Me" at that point. Um,
Yeah.
but, like, the part about where she says, like, "I stopped CPR," that totally makes me think of the heartbeat and everything on, "You're Losing Me."
Mhm.
My favorite lyric is, "I left all I knew, you left me at the house by the Heath," which is Heathrow Airport in London. "I stopped CPR, and after all, it's no use. The spirit was gone, we would never come to, and I'm pissed off you let me give you all that youth for free." And I think that the last part is what solidifies that it's about Joe because of the 6 years that
Yeah.
it comes across in this album that she feels like was wasted.
Yeah.
So
I
for me
definitely felt oh,
Oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. I was just gonna say, for me, I would wanna know, like, I guess it's the whole thing, like, if you had these feelings, like, that you're pissed off and that you feel like you wasted all this time, why even try CPR? Like, why hold
Mhm.
on to something you know is dead?
Yeah. Yeah, I felt like this one was her realizing you can't carry the weight of this entire relationship and fix it if it's just one-sided all the time. Um, but being upset that you had wasted so many years, which I think a lot of people could relate to that have been
Oh,
in
yeah.
long-term relationships that just didn't work out, feeling like it's wasted. But I always question, why do you think that it was wasted? Because you probably learned quite a bit about yourself and relationships in that time. So while yes, your youth was wasted, I get that. The whole relationship wasn't. I think you can grow from that. My absolute favorite line in that song was, "And you say I abandoned the ship. but I was going down with it. I
Yeah.
thought that was an extremely telling, like, I wasn't going to walk away from anything. So just seeing it, two very different viewpoints there.
Yeah. I mean, it is. It's a heartbreaking song. It's very pretty. It's very Aaron Dessner to me.
Yes.
So that was track 5. Track 6 is another Aaron Dessner, and this is my favorite. It's
Mine
called
too.
But Daddy, I Love Him. And I don't know, coming into it, I kind of always wondered if this was going to end up being my favorite, even with no clue what it was about.
Really?
I don't know. For some reason, and I like when it came on, I was like, yep, I was right. Again, I think this is about Maddie. I think because of the whole, like, the rebellious theme in it. I mean, I think there's a chance it could be about Joe, and maybe Scott Swift was like, what are we doing 6 years in? I don't know.
Yeah.
But the reason I'm pretty sure it's about Maddie is my favorite lyric. God save the most judgmental creeps who say they want what's best for me, sanctimoniously performing. This is a word I can't say, even though I know it. I want to say soliloquies, but it's like,
That's right. Soliloquies.
yeah, I'll never see. Thinking it can change the beat of my heart when he touches me. This is like totally Taylor, but also very Lana, like that kind of wordy, big words thing. There were a couple of parts in here that kind of startled me when I first heard them. The whole part about I'm having his baby, I almost had a mild heart attack the first time she said it. Because she very quickly follows it up and says, but I'm not, but the look on your face. But the first time she said it, I like gasped. I was like, oh my God.
I was like, what is happening? But I had the lyrics pulled up while I was listening to it. So I had immediately gone to the next line.
See, that was
okay.
tough last night, is the lyrics weren't up yet. And so I was really having to listen. I don't hear that well anyway. And so I was like, what? So my why is, why did we say that? Because there's been rumors in the past about things that we don't talk about.
Yeah.
I was shocked that that was in there. And like,
yeah, I felt like that really fit with the song though. I was like, that's the perfect line to throw in there. And here's my reason for it.
Yeah, tell me.
Felt like this was her way of saying, like, people have all these ideas of what they think she should do and what she should be.
Yeah.
She just wants to live life without all of that judgment. And then I put ... Southern Baptist raising.
True story. Yeah.
But I thought, like, when you're dating someone or you're in a relationship with someone and you have like this preconceived notion around you of what people are saying that you should do and what you should be and who you should be with, let me just throw a curveball and just get their reaction. It's not going to be true, but I want to throw you off. I liked where she said, I'd rather burn my whole life down than listen to one more second of all this bitching and moaning. I'll tell you something about my good name. It's mine, alone to disgrace. I don't cater to all these vipers dressed in empath's clothing.
Yeah.
I just loved that.
Oh, me too.
Like, you're just done. You're done with all of these people having a say and a judgment. And I think so many of us can relate to that growing up.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care what you have to say. We're over this now. No, that was my favorite song.
Oh God, I love this song. I just want to listen to it again. It made me remember to point out that I noticed there were a lot of references to religion in this album. And I thought that was interesting because that's very weird for her. And so I'm kind of wondering what that is about. Happens in this one. And I think the whole judgmental creep thing makes me think of that too, based on her upbringing. But I think this is one of those ones that's, the trolls are trying to say this is her coming for the Swifties. I don't think it is. I think I think it's more than the Swifties. I think it's Dumois and all those people. Like, she's tired of them judging everything she's doing. I just love this song, and the part about how, like, I guess she brought him to her mom's house, and then they like kind of could finally see, like, oh, we see what you see, and we're not like, what the hell are you doing kind of situation. God, I love this song.
It was good.
All right, number 7. We go back to a Jack Antonoff, Fresh Out the Slammer. I think this is about both. I think it's about Maddie and Joe. I think that the relationship with Joe is what she's using the imagery of slammer prison. And then like I know who the first call I'll make was Maddie. So my favorite lyric was, to the one who says I'm the girl of his American dreams, and no matter what I've done, it wouldn't matter anyway. Ain't no way I'm going to screw up now that I know what's at stake here at the park where we used to sit on children's swings wearing imaginary rings. So again, this could be Joe or Maddie saying she's the girl of their American dreams. Sorry, my dog just made a weird noise. The part about I'm not going to screw this up now that I know what's at stake here makes me think that she had wanted previously to try a relationship with Maddie potentially, and they never did. And so now she knows what it's like to not try it. So she's not going to screw that up. The imaginary rings, there are several songs that bring up rings and cradles and babies, just trying to give me a heart attack left and right. But they're typically about Maddie.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is where I kind of was confused, because I thought we would have some songs about Joe. They never got married, whatever. But the talk of the rings and the babies is in Maddie's songs. So I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. So the imaginary rings also made me think of Invisible String, the song. And that's where I started questioning everything in life. Who are these songs really about? What was I thinking?
Right.
So I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, this one felt more of like I've been kept hindered for so long and I'm just going to break free. I'm going to go do the things that I've wondered about. I liked the lines, or I thought the line was very telling, where it said, years of labor, locks and ceilings, in the shade of how he was feeling, but it's going to be all right. I did my time. Yeah. Like why do people stay in relationships where they're so miserable, where you feel like you're in a prison? And that will never make sense to me. But I'm also one that's very quick to be like, all right, we're gone. This was a fun one.
Yeah. I think the storylines with both guys is just so interwoven in this song, more so than any of the other ones. I think the other ones are really cut and dry. This one is like, what are we doing here? Next up, we probably have what I'm going to call my skip. And it's tough for me to say that because I love Florence and the Machine. And I mean, they sound amazing. Nothing about their talent here. But this song is Florida, with 3 exclamation marks. This is the most confusing song to me. I think it, like I said earlier, somehow this is tied to Fortnite. I don't know what we're doing, but something is there. To me, I think this song is about like escapism. Tampa, Florida was the first show post breakup announcement with Joe. So maybe that's part of it. Shortly right after that's when Maddie popped up at all the shows. He even like performed with Boy Genius in her openers at those shows. He was hanging out with Gigi Hadid and Abigail and everyone. So I don't know. I don't really know what's happening here, but I did like the lyric, the hurricane with my name when it came. I got drunk and dared it to wash me away, barricaded in the bathroom with a bottle of wine. Well, me and my ghost, we had a hell of a time. I just thought it was, I mean, she's just an amazing writer. Yes. Even if I don't like the song, I'm like, that's good. So my why would just be like, why Florida? What are we talking about? Like, what are we doing here?
Literally my only notes that I took on this song were nope.
That's, I'm not one to usually, and here's the thing, I'm still going to listen to it, even though I call it a skip. Oh, yeah. Freaking love Florence. And their voices, totally, like, I just knew it was going to be amazing. Did you know, this is a total random side note, did you know that she was the entertainment at Blake and Ryan's wedding?
No.
Can you imagine? Florence and the Machine does your wedding? Yeah. I would die. But it also makes me wonder, was Taylor there? Did they like do a duet? Like,
right? What's happening? Do you have videos?
Oh man, I would die.
For me, and this goes back to like my college background, I'm always very good at breaking down a lyric and trying to figure out what a poet is trying to say without saying the specific thing. There were so many lines in this specific song that I kept thinking, what are you saying? What does that mean? This doesn't make sense. This is the
most un-Taylor Swift song I've ever heard.
Yeah.
I was, and honestly, that's saying a lot on this album, because I think there's like 31 songs I never thought I'd hear Taylor sing. But this one is like, takes the cake. I was like, what? That's why I've got to know, what are we doing, Taylor? There's something deeper here, and what is it?
Yeah.
I don't know that we'll ever know, as usual. Next up, we've got another Jack Antonoff, Guilty as Sin, ? Again, this is about Maddie. It references in the very beginning Blue Nile, which is like, Maddie is like famously their like biggest fan of that band. My favorite lyric was someone told me there's no such thing as bad thoughts, only your actions talk. I just liked that wording of like, you can talk all day long. And I think that, like, to me, that may have even been a dig at the 6 years with Joe. Like, we can be together all this time, but the inaction is an action, you know?
Yeah.
Um, for me, she mentions in there that she wasn't able to cry. And for a long time, the prison was like comfortable. And I
Mhm.
guess I wanna know why. Like, and I know that this is kind of like the parasocial dynamic that, like, we look at her life and all celebrities and we think like, "Oh, they're rich, they're famous, they're beautiful, they have this, they have that, they can date whoever they want." Like, why are you gonna stay where you're miserable? Like,
Yeah.
why is that comfortable when you could
Yeah.
literally have the world?
And I just wonder, are they in such a headspace where it feels like to us, you have the entire world at your fingertips, but to you, do you feel like your world is so small that you don't actually have access to all those things that we think you have access to? And that's why everything just feels like a prison, or like I have to go back to this person or stay with this person because I don't have options.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know, it's
I
a weird
thought this
thing.
one was interesting. My take on it was kind of like you are in a relationship with someone else, but you're thinking about this other person over here. But because you're not doing anything with them, am I really guilty because I'm just thinking it? Because
That is
she's,
a
I
very
keep
popular
telling
opinion.
this, we never did without ever touching his skin. How can I be guilty of sin? I never did anything with you. I never acted on any of this. It's just my thoughts.
That's a very popular opinion on social media right now. Like accusing, which is not the right word, but like accusing her of an emotional affair with Maddie while she was still with Joe. That's a very popular opinion. And obviously the depth of their feelings for it to have been literally a fortnight relationship, there
Yeah.
had to be there had to be more than those 2 weeks. That's all I'm saying.
Yes.
All right, number 10, Who's Afraid of Little Old Me? I was excited to hear this one because the whole poets theme, I thought this was very much harkening to Virginia Woolf. Just all that. So I was excited to hear this one. This was one of the very few that she wrote by herself. I liked this one. I
Mhm.
do actually think this one is about Joe, and potentially all the rumors that exist of maybe some unfaithfulness. Just saying. Um, my favorite part was when she said, "You caged me and then you called me crazy. I am what I am because you trained me." And that to me is just kind of how I've like summarized their relationship in my mind. My why for her would be, why would being told, because one of the lyrics is like, "I wish you would have just told me you wished I was dead. That would have made me feel more alive." I'm like, why? Again, I just go back to the, why are we staying here? Why do you want him to tell you he wishes you were dead? And that is what would make you feel alive? Like, is that mean that's what would make you finally leave him? Or like, what are we
It
doing?
makes you wonder if he was constantly leading her on by saying all of these things to pull her back in. And
Mhm.
she finally was just like, I just want you to tell me that you'd rather I was dead. Just tell me so I know I can move on. I don't have to keep
That's a good
guessing.
point. Maybe it's the whole thing of like, why did he never propose? Instead of like wondering if it was all these million things, just say you wish I was dead. I mean,
Yeah.
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 Um,
Mine was all why does it feel like she was always taking the hits?
yeah.
Everything was
Why
covered up
stay?
for you. You didn't have the consequences. I did. So you don't get to tell me how to be sad.
Yeah. I just it's funny that she's got that song called "Stay, Stay, Stay" because I'm wondering, why are we staying? Like, what are we doing?
Let's go on.
Yeah. Number 11 is "I Can Fix Him," parentheses, "No, really, I can." I think I knew going into this album, this is a Jack song. I think I knew by the title that this was gonna be about Maddie. You and I texted literally yesterday afternoon, and I was like, "Everybody on the internet says this whole album's about Maddie Healy. There's no way." Well, I was wrong.
Yeah.
The whole thing is. But this is the one song that I always thought was gonna be about him anyway, and it is. Again,
Mhm.
it mentions his, like, smoking and all of that, so that kind of does it for me. But my favorite lyric is, "They shook their heads saying, 'God help her,' when I told him he's my man. But your good Lord," again bringing that up, "didn't need to lift a finger. I can fix him. No, really, I can." And this is at the very end. She says, "Whoa, maybe I can't."
Mhm.
Um, So my why is kind of weird on this one, but why did she feel like she needed to fix him if she already loved him? I'm guessing it was just for the approval of everyone else because she talks about your good Lord, meaning someone else's.
Mhm.
And again, I want to know why we've got this theme Christian, God, Jehovah's Witness comes up, like all this stuff. Like, just I'm curious why these things are coming up suddenly 11 albums in.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's interesting to know where your mind can go when you feel like you're at rock bottom.
Mhm.
Everything is crashed now, everything is over.
Mhm.
Um, this one I thought was kind of, I don't know, not one that I really enjoyed, because I just
It's
don't understand
Portland.
you. Why are you trying to fix something? Why are we wasting our time? We're not 21, we're not
Yeah.
18 trying to fix a boyfriend. Like, it's time to move on. These people are showing you who they are. That's always been my
Well, and
thought.
you know, one thing I've never thought about with her is the Enneagram. Because one of the things I was thinking about in this is she a fixer? Like, was she trying to fix Joe for all those years and get him out of his depression and all that? Was she trying to fix Maddie Healy? Like, was she
Yeah,
trying to fix Harry Styles? I mean, Lord, all of them. So, like, is she a 2? Is she a helper? I don't know. Like, I would have thought she was a
right.
3 like me, but I don't know.
She was
Um,
busy. Golly.
something. Number 12
Yeah.
is lowercase LOML. We're back to Aaron Dessner. Um, so LOML, there were so many rumors about what this was going to be about. I personally am just relieved that this song is not telling me that Meredith the cat is dead. Like everyone was trying to convince me online, and I was devastated and I hate cats. So I don't know. I'm just saying. Um, this one I think could be about either of them. It could be about both of them. I lean towards it's about Maddie.
Mhm.
Um, LOML typically on like social media and stuff stands for love of my life, and it does at the beginning of the song, and then it ends being about loss of my life, which was one of the theories that was going around. The reason I kind of lean towards Maddie is she says like one kiss to getting married, and they were always so intense, like, and he's just like an intense human.
Mhm.
My favorite lyric, though, again, because I just love the pictures that she paints, is "Oh, what a valiant roar, what a bland goodbye. The coward claimed he was a lion. I'm combing through the braids of lies." Asterisk when we come back to that. "I'll never leave, never mind. Our field of dreams engulfed in fire. Your arsons match your somber eyes, and I'll still see it until I die. You're the loss of my life." Also, the somber eyes made me think of him. He has like black eyes.
Mhm.
So there was all this speculation over the summer, even at Jack's wedding and even into this year during some of the Chiefs games. She had a braid in her hair constantly. And everyone was
Mhm.
like, what is up with this braid? It comes up in the lyrics here and in the teaser for the music video. She has a chain braided out of her hair. I don't
Yeah.
know what it means, but there's something there. For me on this one, she also mentioned something about he talked shit about her under tables, which is a very Maddie Healy thing to me. So again, I go to like, why, with everything that you are, why is the loss of your life somebody that would even remotely talk shit about you?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
there's interviews where before, like back in 2014 and 16, when there were rumors of them at that time, somebody asked him in an interview, like, "Are y'all dating?" And he was like, "Fuck her." What he said. And he said, like,
Wow.
he would never, because he would never want to just be someone's boyfriend. So I go back to why is
Yeah.
this like the loss of your life? What are we
Because
missing here?
the song made it sound like this is a love that she'll never get over. She will always wonder
That's
what
a
if.
hundred. I walked away from this album wondering, is she ever going to be completely over him? And if I'm Travis Kelsey, am I worried about freaking Maddie Healy at this point? Which would be a
I just
weird.
like I kept thinking, Maddie Healy? That's the one we're stuck on?
I mean, bless it. We are not trying to be those judgmental creeps, but we just need to know why because we can't see her.
Yeah.
So,
No. I like the line, oh, where is it? And told me I reformed you when your impressionist paintings of heaven turned out to be fakes. I was like, man, that's just one of those. To me, it was like your words just never matched your actions. You were telling me all of these things, but when it was time to display it, none of that action was there.
yeah. I would like to pinpoint that I did see today that Maddie's team put out a statement today about his feelings about torture poets, and he had nothing but good things to say, and that he still has all the respect in the world for Taylor and his family does too. So
I
I
think
don't
it's just where they're all taking a sigh of relief, like, okay, no one's gonna attack me. We're good. We're good.
unless we get to another song that I can't wait to get to and talk about, and you're someone else. But
True.
number 13, I Can Do It With a Broken Heart. This is back to Jack, which kind of surprised me. I was thinking based on title it was going to be Aaron Dessner, but um I think again, unfortunately, I think this is about Maddie. She talks about in here she needs reminders that she didn't imagine it, and again, I think because it was so quick, and I think it
Mhm.
was something that was like always there but never happened, and then it did. So like, wait, did it really?
Yeah.
I think when he allegedly left her, was right at the height of the Eras Tour really becoming like everything that it is, and he was allegedly doing it to protect her and her career, and he said to like himself from the spotlight. Um, my favorite lyric was, "You know you're good when you can do it even with a broken heart." So, my why here is not a why question, but a why explanation. This song is why I feel like I personally and a lot of people really owe Taylor an apology at this point. I don't feel like I was ever a judgmental creep about the Maddie Healy thing. He's just like not my type and didn't seem like her
Yeah.
type. I do feel like I never took into account. Like the Eras tour was so meaningful for me last year,
Mhm.
and like the Minneapolis show was pre-Travis that I was at, and so she wasn't happy yet. And I
Yeah.
never took that into account. It was like everyone was sucking all this from her, and she literally was shattered. And I just like felt this sense. I heard this song and I felt this sense of like guilty as sin,
Yeah.
which I don't think was her point, but to an extent, I do think it was her point. I think her point was to say, like, I was at the biggest and still is the biggest mountaintop of her career. Everything was sparkly. She mentions that, like, smiling. She always hits her marks. Like, she can do that with a broken heart. But I also
Mhm.
found it like a little bit of encouragement, like when something is kind of like shitty in my own life, like if Taylor
Mhm.
Swift can reach millions of people with this like utter like
Yeah.
manic episode and still hit her marks, like what am I complaining about?
Yeah.
That's nuts.
And I loved how she did it because I thought that the music paralleled the words so well because the music was a little bit upbeat and the message was just would break you to pieces.
I think that's why she went with Jack on this song.
Yeah.
Because I think that it would have gotten bad if it was Aaron.
Mhm.
And I think then it would be like just too much.
Yeah.
So it's probably best that she went with because I'd probably still be in the bed. I mean,
Right? You also wonder, like, why do you feel like you always have to put on the brave face? I understand when you're up on stage because that's your job. There's a lot of us that have to go to work and crap's going on that we just can't talk about. But I wonder, do you also feel like when you're behind the stage, when you're around your dancers and your friends and your people, do you also feel like you're putting on that brave face so that they don't see all of the hurt and you put that worry on them? Because that could put you even more into like an alone space of even those around you. You're trying
well,
to constantly hold it together for them.
for sure. And I think like as close as she has always been on record of being with her mom and then like with everything her mom has been through, did she even feel like she could go to her mom, you know? I don't know, it really hurts my heart for her. It also made me think of that picture or that video that everyone was freaking out about when she was like she jumped in a back of one of her SUVs in some city. I think it may have actually been Cleveland. She jumped in the back and you could tell she like threw her head down and just started bawling and everyone was like, "What is happening?" Well, this is what was happening. She was doing everything with a broken heart, just not for the
You can
person.
only hold it together for so long.
Number 14, we go back to Aaron Dessner, and I'm so glad that it was him. This song is The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived.
You're frozen. No. We'll get her back in just a second.
Okay, my internet dropped out, sorry.
There you are.
Um, I don't know why I was so startled by cats. I hate cats, but I was so worried that Benjamin something had happened to him. So, anyway, this was not about him. It was about Maddie. We know that because she mentions his Jehovah's Witness suit, and if you know or watch anything with the 1975, he typically has on a black suit with a black tie. Um, I do think that this song had a hat tip to Gracie Abrams, which I freaking love, where she uses the reference to Good Riddance, which was Gracie's album. And there was an infamous picture that a lot of people were like, what did she just get to hear, that Gracie had posted at Taylor's apartment? And Taylor's like,
Mhm.
you really tell she's like, I got her. And Gracie's like laying in the floor, like just blown away. I think it's this song in that reference. Because I mean, Gracie's like all of us. She lived her whole life as a huge fan, and now she gets to like be a part of her world. So the lyric I liked on this is a little bit lengthy, but she says, I would have died for your sins. Instead, I just died inside, and you deserve prison, but you won't get time. You'll slide into inboxes and slip through the bars. You crashed my party and your rental car. You said normal girls were boring, but you were gone by the morning. You kicked out the stage lights, but you're still performing. I think that this lyric just kind of solidified that it was about Maddie, if there was questions. But I guess my why is like, again, why are you letting yourself die inside for his sins?
Yeah.
Like, or is that like hearkening to the whole he left her, like she mentions here, and allegedly he did it for her best interest, and so it left her dying inside? I don't know, but again, I just go back to why. What are we doing? What
Yeah.
are
I thought it was telling when it said, I don't even want you back. I just want to know. Like, I don't want to attempt
I
this
was
relationship.
relieved. I was
I
really relieved to hear that lyric.
I was too, because I was like, okay, she just wants the conversation closure. She
Yeah.
doesn't want the relationship anymore.
Yeah.
When it said, if rusting my sparkling summer was the goal, and then it said, you hung me on your wall, stabbed me with your push pins. How soon into the relationship did you realize this guy's trash? Because why are we staying? That sounds miserable.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I thought that was really like painted the picture of like we're like straight in the middle of the Eras tours kicking off and this is happening. Like, are you freaking kidding me? Like you
Yeah,
were in love with me all these years and now this is what you do to me? Like,
yeah. I
uh
just like in the moment, I just wanted to be like, I'm Taylor freaking Swift. Why
in the
are we doing
words of I Spy Taylor motherfucking Swift. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
don't
I
I just
feel
don't
like
ever get it.
now I'm so glad that we've moved past this album. Like it's out of her system.
Yep.
She's recorded it, she's put it out. I feel like now she gets to go into an even newer phase of life because this whole album just centers around her being miserable and sad and hindered and caged. And now we get to see her present day where that's not the case at all. And again, we're only seeing the outside view of,
Yeah.
but I don't think it's her holding it all together and then crying at home.
And I think she's always very meticulous about the order of songs. I think this being track 14 and the next track is the first song about Travis with number 15. And then the album ends with one that's about her. I think that's very purposeful. The next song is The Alchemy. This is a Jack song. This is about Travis. I mean, the whole thing is full of football references. I don't know how
Yeah.
you could do that really. Uh, but also there was a couple of things that I like, people kept talking about this alchemy reference and the chemistry part of that. I thought that this definitely played to those lyrics from Daylight. I always thought that love was black and white, but it's golden.
Mhm.
Um, with alchemy, I looked this up that was talking about a seemingly magical process of transformation, creation, or combination. And I mean, like, could you think anything different about them?
Right.
Um, so one of the little quotes that I saw with that definition said, finding the person who's right for you requires a very subtle alchemy. So I love that. My favorite part, have you been on Twitter today?
No,
Okay.
literally, I was cramming for this
So I
album.
have saved like 7 tweets to send you because there's some memes about Ross that you are going to love.
Oh my
So
God.
if you're not familiar, Travis is one of his best friends is Ross Travis, and he is always with Taylor and Travis. And there's a lyric in the song that says, while him touching me while his friends played Grand Theft Auto and she tries not to be heard. There's all these memes of Ross making these funny faces, and it's like, Ross, you are entitled to financial compensation for this. And then there's
100%.
one of the little boy, the little African American boy who's real chunky, and he's kind of like looking up out of the corner of his eye. And it was like, Ross, is this you? Like, what are you watching? Oh my God, it's amazing.
That's awesome. Oh my
Um,
gosh.
my favorite lyric is obviously where it really, my favorite picture probably of them, shirts off and your friends lift you up over their heads, beer sticking to the floor, cheers chanted because they said there was no chance trying to be the greatest in the league. Where's the trophy? He's just running over to me. And it's
Yeah.
like all these people have made these video compilations now of him like running to her after the Super
Yeah.
Bowl. And I mean, it just makes us happy.
Yeah. I
Um,
liked in the chorus where it says, "So when I touch down, call the amateurs and cut them from the team, ditch the clowns and get the crown." I thought, to me, in my head, I was like, this is when she realizes I'm Taylor freaking Swift.
yeah. Yeah. Well, and she said she makes a reference in there about making a comeback to where she belongs. And I think that's what we've seen. We saw them at Coachella last weekend. Like all of these things, like she's back being out of prison
Yeah.
without everyone hating on her decisions. And well,
Yeah.
really, like, even when they criticize her right now, she just doesn't care because she's just so happy. And that just makes me happy.
Yep.
Um, my why was really like, just tell me more about you and Trav. Like, why is
Right.
this so perfect? Like
What's that?
Um, the number 16. So this was the end of like what we thought we were getting. This is the Clara Bow song. And people had done all this research for us about who Clara Bow was. And so I saw like the connections already happening with that. This is an Aaron song, which I would have guessed. I think this is really about just her life in general, about it being a spectacle, even when she feels like she's going insane. I freaking love that in the prologue to this album, Stevie Nicks wrote a poem for
Yeah.
Taylor. It says for T and me, and God, I just love the connections. And at the installation this week, yesterday, there was a tambourine, and then they tied a like lacy scarf to it. That's Stevie
Mhm.
Nicks's scarf and her tambourine, which I thought of Stevie
Yep.
Nicks when I saw those pictures yesterday, but I had no idea about the poem, and it's great. But my favorite lyric is, "You look like Stevie Nicks in 75, the hair and lips, crowd goes wild at her fingertips, half moonshine, a full eclipse." And my other favorite part is when she says her own name. I don't know why, but like you always hear her say like, "Hi, I'm Taylor," or like, "And I'll be your host, I'm Taylor." But, like, for her to, like, say, like, "I'm Taylor Sw," or, like, "You look like Taylor Swift,"
Yeah.
I just loved it because I do feel like this is where she's, like, starting to get back her worth.
Yep. Yep. I would agree with that. I didn't have a ton of notes on this, but I do agree with those thoughts.
So then we launch into what we never expected. 11 songs that we didn't expect, but it also includes the 4 variant songs or I'm sorry, bonus tracks, which typically we
Mhm.
have to wait months to get on streaming, so that was
Yeah.
amazing. The Black Dog, this is definitely about Maddie because it starts with a line from his favorite song. But then also, like she says something like 6 weeks of clean air and I still miss the smoke. And it kind of hints at like him not being able to handle her fame. Because
Mhm.
my favorite line is, "Was it hazing for a cruel fraternity I pledged, and I still mean it, old habits die screaming." And that cruel fraternity, I think, is just the fame. And I
Yeah.
think for me, I just wanna know, why does she and why do we hold on to these old habits and they so tightly that they literally have to die screaming? Like,
Mhm.
why?
To me, I felt like this one was such a sad song because it
Mhm.
was almost like it ended, and then you're sitting there like, how is it so easy for you to just move on? You're out with your friends, you're doing all these things, and I'm just left here completely clueless. Like, I don't understand what just happened.
Yeah.
Um, where I mean, she even says, "I just don't understand how you don't miss me. I don't get, did I not mean anything?" And I feel like maybe for a female, that's why it's so difficult to move on because we
Mhm.
have all of these why and what if questions.
Yep.
And it feels like maybe they just flip a switch and move on. Like, this is over with. Let's just
Yep.
move on. And we're like, did it not mean anything? Because in my head, I was planning a wedding, I was planning
Yeah.
baby names. Like, yeah. So this one, I
Cradles.
just, so sad. It was kind of that one that your friend is telling you that they broke up and you're just broken for
This is
them.
where you cry with her.
Yes,
Yeah.
very much.
So track eight, and that was again one of the only 4 that she wrote by herself, which I think also further proves just how sad and devastated she was.
Yeah.
Number 18, this is one I think that you liked, all one word, lowercase, "I'm gonna get you back." This is with Jack. I'm gonna go ahead and say people on the internet are stupid. Olivia Rodrigo has a song called "Get You Back," and so they're like, "Oh my gosh, Taylor got all this money for Olivia's song Deja Vu because it sounds just like Cruel Summer. She owes." You people are stupid, and you
Right.
also don't know anything about the 1975 because this song
Mhm.
title is like a 1975 song title. Like,
Yeah.
that is what it is. She didn't owe Olivia Rodrigo a penny. Get out of
No.
there.
No.
Um this song is interesting. To me, this was like a torn heart between like revenge and reconciliation.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's about Maddie. It could be about both, I guess, but for me, I just went with him. I think because everything else has been about him.
Yeah,
Um, but also because I didn't get the vibe, even in the songs about Joe, that she wanted Joe back. Um,
that is true.
so I just lost my place in my notes, but my favorite lyric is small talk, big walk, act like I don't care what you did. I'm an Aston Martin that you steered straight into the ditch, then ran and hid. I was appreciative that she finally saw herself as an Aston Martin. But then my question is, why want someone back? Like, why struggle with the should we reconcile or revenge? Like, if revenge is even in your mind or your heart, like, why would you care to reconcile?
I think it's kind of one of those when the relationship has been over, and so you've processed a lot of it, but there's still some lingering questions. And the reason that this was probably my second favorite on the album is because my petty heart loves it.
I don't know why that feels so on brand. That may be a quote on social media too.
I
Becca's
just think
petty
because
heart.
it's just one of those things like I gave so much of myself to you,
Yeah.
and there are times that like I don't want what I gave to be wasted. So do I want this back to make it work? But then also like I can ruin you so
So
fast.
fast. Yeah.
And I love it. I love it so much. I like where she put whether I'm going to curse you out or take you back to my house. I haven't decided yet, but I'm going to get you back.
So
That's my
just
goal.
like here's the thing, even if this is not in your top favorite albums, even if it never wins an award, which all these things are possible, the lyrics are still killer. They still are. The
Yes.
lyrics alone on even the worst songs deserve
Mhm.
Song of the Year. I'm just going to tell you.
It's just
It won't
incredible how
happen, but
she
it
can put feelings and situations into words that no one else can do that. No one else can convey that feeling and that emotion that she felt. And then when we hear it and we read it, we're like, oh my God, I feel like I'm on the couch with my best friend and we're both crying now. Like she
and we
just has such a good way with words that you can't deny that aspect of this album.
and we have said before, like we are both very long time removed from hard breakups.
Mm-hmm.
And yet I still can be back in that moment in a heartbeat with her stuff. And I think that you have to be talented to do that for people.
Yes, very. Yeah.
Number 19. Okay, I am confused on this one. I need to do some more research, so I will report back to the class. But number 19 is the albatross, and this is an Aaron one, which I would have guessed just based on the title. I'll be
Yeah.
honest, I'm not entirely sure what this one is about. What I thought was like this was like her like representation of her warning either Maddie or Joe, but I actually don't know which one, maybe both, and maybe everyone she's with about her like fandom and kind of the dangers of it. Because
Yeah.
I like the lyric that's like, and when the sky rains fire on you and you're persona non grata, I'll tell you how I've been there too, and that none of it matters.
Mhm.
So that's why I think that, but this one lost me.
To me, the note I had on this one was just that you knew the risks, but you chose me anyway. So it's kind
Mhm.
of like, why are you complaining now? You knew
You knew
what
what
you
you're
were
getting.
getting into. I think the line where it says arose by any other name is a scandal. Cautions issued. He was shooting the messengers. They tried to warn him about her. You knew, you were told ahead of time. So don't come back now. And I think this is probably with Joe,
I was gonna
where
say that take makes me think Joe. Yeah.
yeah, you knew she just can't live. There's a lot of her life that's in private. There's a lot that we don't know, we'll never know, and we are not entitled to know.
Nope.
But you do going into it, you have to know she's Taylor Swift. People know her. People want to be. I mean,
And I don't think Maddie was ever confused by that. I think if anything, that's probably why it took 10 years for anything to happen with them.
I would agree with that.
Number 20 is a very strange song title. Chloe or Sam or Sophia or Marcus.
Yeah,
I saw a funny meme today that was like, who are all these people? I know Blake Lively hasn't had 4 more kids.
right. When I saw that, I was like, "Are we just pulling for? We just need a
I
song
just
title."
love every minute of that. But this is with Aaron, and I believe this song is about Maddie. I'm not going to get into this sect of the world, but I just have to say this because I know some of these people watch our show. this song is not for you if you're a Gaylor. So stop. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
No. If you've ever watched the 1975, if you've ever witnessed anything with Maddie Healy, Maddie likes to kiss anyone and everyone. Boy, girl, doesn't matter.
Doesn't
That is
matter.
what this song is about. Sit down. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
There's a reason y'all get canceled every day on social media. But the thing that startled me, and again harkens me back to, have I been wrong all these years about what other songs were about? She talks about Maroon in this song.
Mm-hmm.
I think Maroon is about Maddie. And
I
I
know.
was not ready.
No.
There's a lot of songs on here, and this one does it too, where she mentions her other songs, which I thought was cool. My favorite lyric does. Can we watch our phantoms like watching wild horses? Because she has that wild horse song. Cooler in theory, but not if you force it. To be, it just didn't happen. So this to me, though, I was like, so was this cooler in theory because it was 10 years of never doing it, and then you finally did, and you're like, oh, that was better in theory. Like, that's what I thought. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, this song seemed more of like you're watching someone constantly go down a road that you know is not going to lead to anything, but they want that thing more than they want you and want to fix it. And so I always, again, why are we staying? If they're showing you what they want, why are we staying? Yeah, not one of the ones that stuck out to me.
no. And Lord, title. Next one is about Aaron. A lot of this, pretty much all of this, is Aaron Dessner on this side of the album. So this is How Did It End? There was a lot of different ways I could take this song. I actually didn't even write down a why. I think that this song is about all of her public breakups, is the way I took it. My favorite part was when she said, we were blind to unforeseen circumstances. We learned the right steps to different dances and fell victim to interlopers' glances. Lost the game of chance. What are the chances? I don't know. I do think that it could possibly be about Maddie and how things ended so abruptly. And she's like, how did this even happen?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was kind of, I don't know, that one, I don't know. Nothing else.
Yeah. In the chorus where she put come one, come all, it's happening again.
Yeah.
I thought, man, that's when you just know, like, okay, my life is a spectacle and everybody's going to talk because this is ending again.
Well, and I kind of related to that part, and that was one of the lyrics that was put out in the installation in LA. Because like if you've been in a long-term relationship and then after that you kind of, I wouldn't say like jump from relationship to relationship, but you finally start dating again and people aren't used to that because you were with somebody forever.
Yeah.
I felt that. Like I felt that in my bones, and I can't imagine how she feels because every breakup she has is so dramatized in the media.
Yes.
And so it just made me sad for her, really, is how I felt.
Yeah.
But I went from feeling sad for her to feeling very, very happy.
Yes.
With 22. So this is called So High School. It's with Aaron, which was surprising. But this is totally about Travis. It's very much starts with kind of that shtick of like the popular guy or football player, and she's wanting to hide because she's always been awkward. Talks about watching American Pie, and he always talks about watching like dumb comedies and how he was going to introduce her to that. It also talks about Kiss, Marry, Kill, and there's clips of him playing that game where Taylor was one of the options way back in the day. My favorite lyric is "No one's ever had me, not like you." And so
I love that line.
Why are we all so happy?
I know.
I love it. And I love that all of his friends are posting this song. I don't know if you've seen this because you've not been on social, but like Andrew, his trainer, like this song goes hard.
Really?
Like Eric has posted it. So
I love that.
But also that she says something like laughing at him for him imitating his dad. Ed Kelsey, you made the album? Like,
way to go ahead.
I love it.
Yeah, to me, this one came across as like the giddy high school girl that's like first time butterflies and all the feelings. Just you're putting in video game titles and American Pie and all, like it was just so young at heart, carefree. But I loved it. But that "Are you gonna marry, kiss, or kill me?" That line stuck out to me. I loved that she found a way to put it in there.
I don't know how Judd has ever seen the clip of that, but he talks about it a lot. And so this morning I was telling Aaron some of the stuff from the album, and he heard me say that, and he was like, well, no, he said, I said one of the songs is about Travis, or two of them are, and he said, does it talk about the kiss, marry, kill? And I was like, actually, it does. So way to go,
That's
Taylor.
so funny.
Um,
Gosh.
Number 23 is I Hate It Here. And this one is with Aaron Dessner again. I took this one of two ways. I took this with her struggling with her fame and the constant criticism and judgment. And then
Mhm.
secondly, tying that to Maddie leaving her to protect her was my opinion. Um,
Yeah.
I really loved this line that doesn't even apply to that part, I don't think, but where she said, my friends used to play a game where we would pick a decade we wished we could live in instead of this. I'd say the 1830s, but without all the racist. I just liked that part. Um, Again, I just go back to why stay. Like,
Mhm.
and then maybe not even in the relationship at this point. Like, you didn't want to be in prison. Nobody does.
Yeah.
You don't like the constant hot seat. Like, why do either one? I get, I don't know if that makes sense, but I just was like, I mean, I want her to. Don't leave, but don't
I
leave me.
just the notes that I had on that one is it constantly feels like you're having to go to this place in your mind because your reality sucks.
Yeah,
And again, you could create any kind of life that you want for yourself. So why are you choosing to mentally go to that place? Just make your reality what you want it to
yeah,
be. And sometimes that means we got to cut these people out. So
yeah.
that was a pretty good one.
Number 24. I am so happy to be here. This song is called Thank You, Amy. You need to see the song title written to get it. In the word thank, the letter K is capital. In the word Amy, the IM is capitalized. And I don't know if you can spell, but KIM spells Kim. Um, Freaking love this. So this song is obviously about Kim Kardashian, and I freaking love it. I love that she references that she knows that Kim's kids, North, listens to her songs.
Gosh, best.
My favorite line is, everyone knows that my mother is a saintly woman, but she used to say she wished you were dead. Yes, Andrea Swift. We all do.
Yeah,
I also, that reminded me of the Justin Bieber, my mama likes everybody. She doesn't
that's
like,
what I thought too.
I thought of that, and I think it's all connected.
Yep.
She definitely came for Kim in this one, and Kim deserves every inch of it. And Taylor says in here she doesn't believe that Kim's changed, and she's right. Kim would do anything for money, but I'll get to that in another song that I think is about her date down later. I loved it. Loved it.
Yeah, I liked the line where she said, all that time you were throwing punches, I was building something, because all of those years that she was quiet and she didn't say anything, she was building up for this comeback of like,
Mhm.
now you can't tarnish what I've built.
Well, and I like that she says like she can't forgive her for what she did, but she also can't forget how she healed because of what she did.
Right. Yeah, I
And
thought
to
that
me,
was a good line to put in
to me,
there.
that's the ultimate like F you.
Yep.
Love it.
Yep.
Love it. Love it. Totally thought that would be a Jack Antonoff, though.
Yeah. What a great shade song, though. Like it was just a good song, but then you were
Well,
throwing shade that we all knew.
and we're going
And
to get to another one, number
well,
27. We're going to get to number 27 that is also of that same vein. And again, not Jack. So I'm very surprised by those two choices.
yeah,
Number 25, this one kind of confused me a little too. This is I Look in People's Windows. It also kind of creeped me out a little.
yeah,
Very much her like looking at other people's lives again. So this could be about Maddie or Joe or really just life. For me, my favorite lyric is, what if your eyes looked up and met mine one more time? I just thought that painted such a picture of like, again, I don't know. I just don't think this Maddie thing is done. I don't know. I'm worried. I worry though. But again, this just goes back to what we've been saying. Like, you could build like you could have anything. Why are you like,
stuck on this one.
well, and why is it not enough? Like, you're literally watching what everyone else has still. But is it because you hadn't found Travis when you wrote this? I don't know.
Possible. Yeah. Yeah. This one was just more of a like, the
Number
reflection of just
26 is
what
The Prophecy. This is another Aaron. I think this one is,
I think we're at a
I wondered why you weren't saying anything. My internet cut out. All right, number 26 is The Prophecy with Aaron. I think this one's about Joe, because she says something like, I just want someone who wants me. And there's obviously a lot of narrative that he did not make her feel wanted. Which again, I can't
Mhm.
understand, but I love the lyric, a greater woman has faith. Again, faith coming up, but even statues crumble if they're made to wait. Um,
Yeah.
I thought this was a good one. Like, I don't have a lot to say about it, but I really liked it.
Yeah. I thought it was a sad line to put in there. I've been on my knees, changed the prophecy, don't want money, just someone who wants my company. Like it sounds almost like I will literally give all of this up just to be with someone that just wants to be with me.
Well, and I thought that that was a hit to the some of her people or some of the people that criticized Joe for like, oh, Joe doesn't have any money, Joe's poor, whatever. He's living off the royalties from her songs, whatever. And I think that's her way of saying, like, look, I'm not with Travis for money. I'm not with anybody for money. I
Right.
don't need that. She wasn't with Maddie for money. It's a good one though. Number 27, Cassandra. This is with Aaron Dessner again. So, little Greek mythology for you. Cassandra is the daughter of, I don't know, Priam and Hecuba. I don't know.
Sounds good.
She displays the gift of prophecy. Cassandra is cursed by the god Apollo, so no one believes her prophecies, and she's seen as a liar, which is also very swift coded.
Uh-huh.
Another major part of Cassandra's myth states that snakes would whisper in her ears, allowing her to tell the future. So I've seen where this could be about Scooter, whatever. I don't think so. I think this is about Kanye and Kim. It also mentions like a family reference in there. And I think that and the snakes and the Kardashians and Jenners were the ones that started the whole snake emoji about Taylor.
Yeah.
Um, and it also references the call and obviously the infamous call that was recorded. Now, I will say with that though, that could be talking about when Scott Borchetta sold her masters and she got the call to be told it had been done
Right.
because of the line blood. I wrote this down wrong, but something about blood, but not like blood is thick, but not like a paywall.
Yes.
But I think that could be Kim would do anything for money. So would Kanye. Could be Scott Borchetta. I don't know.
Yeah.
I love the line, and I felt like it was very reputation coded. What doesn't kill you makes you aware. What happens if it becomes who you are?
Mm.
And I thought that was very like that becomes your reputation.
Yeah. I also think it was very telling for probably a time in her life that she was in 2 years ago when she says she wrote this. When everybody is coming out on the attack when they first see what goes down. But then when the truth comes out, everybody gets really quiet. There's no one there to like defend her or speak on her behalf. Which again kind of makes you think she must have mentally been in such a lonely place for so long.
Um, I will say on this one, I will also asterisk that the Gaylors need to sit down. But
To always sit down.
I will say that I could see a possibility on a former friend that this could be about because it does mention something about losing a twin. So
Yeah.
don't know. Number 28, Peter. Again, the song titles this time. I don't even know what we're doing.
Yeah.
I think that this kind of references the whole Peter losing Wendy from the other songs. I do think it's about
Yeah.
Maddie, because it says you said you were going to grow up and come find me. I think that's what happened with them originally.
Mhm.
Um, my favorite line, and this also makes me think of him, is, but life was always easier on you than it was on me. And sometimes it gets me when crossing your jet stream. We both did the best we could underneath the same moon in different galaxies. And I think like they're both obviously, in the entertainment industry. He's big in his own right. It's just a whole different genre.
Yeah.
So I just think that that is probably what this is about. I guess for me, if I had a question, it's just like, what again, it's not really a why, but why do you think, I guess, it's easier on him? And, like, what
Yeah.
would make it that way? And maybe it's not. I mean, I don't know.
I I got a lot of Peter Pan vibes from this of
Oh,
needing
yeah.
to grow up and
Yeah.
giving that space and then realizing they're never coming back.
Yeah. I couldn't tell yeah. And then there's another song, 2 Down From Now, that kinda goes back to this thought too, but, number 29 is The Bolter. This is with Aaron. I believe this is about Joe. I think this references that whole infamous he like sprinted out dragging her out of that party. But then also the stories that are out there that she pretty much bolted from London and sent him the email that broke up with him. I don't know if any of that's true, but that's the rumor. So I just felt like it kind of tied together. I really like the line in the image that paints, there's an escape in escaping. And
Mhm.
so I just loved that, but I also thought that was about her leaving him behind in London.
Yeah.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
I mean, the line even in there as she was leaving, it felt like breathing. Kind of makes you feel like when she was
Yeah.
finally escaping, she talked about being in a prison, talked about being confined. Now
Yeah.
you can breathe. So
Number 30 is Robin. This is with Aaron Dessner. Quick side note, I saw on the internet Aaron Dessner has a son named Robin. So maybe
oh
that's
really?
what it came. I thought it was Winnie the Pooh, Christopher Robin. That's where I was. I don't know. Because I did get the vibes of like the
Very
Never
childish.
Yeah, I got the vibes from like Never Grow Up and Best Day, or even like You're on Your Own, Kid. But then
Yeah.
the other part of me, so then I was like, is this about some kid who's like, she's telling them hold on to the freeness of your youth before it's like tainted by strains of adulthood or whatever?
Yeah.
Or is this about an adult who won't grow up? And then that could be Maddie. I don't know. Because she says, like, you're just a ruler covered in mud, you look ridiculous.
Mhm.
I love the line where she said, you have no room in your dreams for regret. And
Mhm.
that's just something I think we should live by. But I also wonder if that ties to the Maddie thing. Like, would they have regretted never trying? You know?
Yeah. Yeah, this one was just more of going back in that mindset of being carefree and just doing what you wanted and before speculations, before judgment and all of that. But it was just very not childish in the wording, but just
The
the
theme.
whole message was back to that childhood moment.
We have arrived at our bookend. Number 31, the manuscript. This is the fourth one that she wrote by herself. This one, I'm interested to see where you went with this. I think this is about John Mayer. And I may be totally
I
wrong.
got too.
Okay, because I at first thought it was about Jake Gyllenhaal. I don't think that now. I think it's about John Mayer. And I
Mhm.
think this is why at my show in Minneapolis, she made the comment about, I don't care about what happened when I was 19, because I think she was going to put this song out.
Yeah.
And I think she was saying, don't come for him because this isn't a song. This isn't, he didn't do anything,
Right.
like, um, I think it's about John because she says the line that he allegedly said, if the sex was as good as the conversation, maybe, having babies. And I
Yeah.
don't, again, this is speculative and I apologize, but I don't think that based on the storylines, I don't think that that may have happened with them. So I think that that was hinting at it. But also, I loved when she said, the only thing that's left is the manuscript, one last souvenir from my trip to your shores. Now and then I reread the manuscript, but the story isn't mine anymore. And I think that two things. I think that that's why she made the comment in Minneapolis, don't come for him anymore. That was 19 years ago,
Mhm.
or not really 19, but whatever.
Yeah.
But then also because she put this in her post when she announced the second album last night or this morning, these songs are no longer hers. That chapter is closed. They're now ours. And I love that that was the bookend
Mhm.
because, and I wonder if it always would have been, or if now that she is in this better place in life, this could be the bookend.
Yeah.
So
I
that's my
loved that she made this the last song,
mhm.
um, because I do feel like it was referencing being in a relationship with an older person when you're young. They're saying all of the right things, and you want to be mature and be everything that they're wanting you to be. But then when you go back and reread the manuscript, and you're like, this can't be
Yeah.
what it's meant for me. Like, this can't
Yeah.
be it.
Um, so that's all 31 songs. Any like
Whew.
any final thoughts that you have?
This one seems very Midnight's was a personal album. She told us that. This one seems like a very raw, emotional, vulnerable, personal album. But
Yeah.
it just feels like your best friend sitting there telling you all the things, and it's hard to hear.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is parasocial. I don't know Taylor Swift. I would love to, but I don't. Um, I mean, she has given me a high five, so I mean, we're pretty tight, but just saying.
Basically close to being best friends.
It just broke my heart for her.
Yeah.
I mean, it really did. And because like I do consume so much of her content and her music has helped me in a lot of situations, it really affected me. I was really sad. Again, I don't think this is the award-winning album. I don't think she cares. I don't
No.
think that I don't think that's the point of this album, and I think that's good. I think TS12, whatever comes with that one, will be back to the 1989 vibe, and it will be the one that she'll want awards for then. I think at this point, she just needed to get this out, and I think
Mhm.
so many things tie together to me now. I think that it's purposeful to get it out right now because she's happy, and she doesn't
Yeah.
wanna release this later when they could potentially be engaged or anything like that. Let's get it over with. I think that. I think this is the last album she'll do with Republic Records and UMG. Why are there
Mhm.
balloons on my face?
Ooh, celebration. Last album with Republic.
I don't know
Right.
why that happened.
Yeah,
That was so weird. Okay. Well, I do think that. I think so many things have led up to this. I will say, and I told you this, I think it was Singapore when she said during the folklore set, she normally always says, I made up these songs during the pandemic. These are, fictional characters. And she said, I think it was in Singapore when she said, or maybe not,
Mhm.
this song, Peter, shows those were not made up characters.
Yeah. Yeah.
They may have been made up in name and theory. The storylines may have
Mhm.
been changed, but that was real situations. I think the
Yeah.
braid coming back. I think don't talk about John Mayer. I think all these things. And I love when we finally get some kind of answers. Like, so
Yeah. It was very fitting, and it's very evident that this is the closing of one chapter of her life. Now it is literally all out there. So it doesn't surprise me that this was a double album drop because she had so much music about those 2 years of her life
mhm.
that it was like, I want to get all of this out there. I'm done with this now. We can all move on from it. And I like that she told people this is the closing of a chapter.
Yeah.
These are not my songs anymore.
Yeah.
I think that was her way of telling the fans, like, we all get to move on now. Like,
Well,
we
because
don't
I
have to.
think in the end, I don't think she wants anyone coming for Maddie Healy today. And ironically, I don't have that vibe to do that because I do subscribe to the theory he was trying to do what was best for her.
Yeah.
And I'm not coming for Joe. Joe is so irrelevant to me. I'm just like, whatever.
Yeah. Well, and I
Um,
also think we get to see where she is now in life, that we
I was
can
gonna
see that
say,
this is not the mental space that you're still currently in.
yeah. And I do think, there were all these rumors when Folklore and Evermore came out that there was a third, and they all thought it was called Woodvale. I don't know why. Apparently, all those people believe that this was their Woodvale. This was the album that was always going to come. So, I mean, I'm happy for it. I'm happy for her. I'm real happy for Travis.
Real happy for us to get to see all of that.
Yeah. So I love it. It's not going to win a lot of awards. It's not my favorite yet.
Yeah.
In a year, we could come back and be like, we're obsessed with it. I don't know.
Yeah, I would agree with that. This isn't going to be the Taylor Swift album. She's done so many great things. I think she's still got so many great albums to come after this, but I think this was probably more of like cathartic for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it. 31 songs, 90 minutes. I think we did great.
Oh, we did fantastic. I'm anxious now to get on the socials and kind of see
Yes.
everybody else's take on this. Yeah.
I can't wait to hear what you think.
Today.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, y'all. Enjoy the album. Don't be stupid. Don't fall into the trap of some of these other theories. We're right. We know it. So it's good.
Yep.
All right.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.